In a new action-adventure game for your Super NES comes an exciting tale, The Secret of Mana, from Square, maker of the world's greatest video games.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Smash JT. In this episode, I'm going to be giving my initial impressions on the Secret of Mana Remake game, out now for PlayStation 4 and the PS Vita. As of now, it's not necessarily a bad game, just more so unnecessary. JT. Before I dive too far into what may seem like tearing this one apart, I want to recognize that there are a lot of good things to the Secret of Mana Remake. Unfortunately, most of those good things were already prevalent in the original Secret of Mana, and this new one only does a couple of things that may add on to it. For instance, the autosave feature is awesome. I love it. And the remix music tracks so far are pretty good for the most part. Unfortunately, that's where the new things that are good kinda end. I want to dive into why this game isn't up to par with my expectations, and more importantly, how the original Secret of Mana actually did it way better. The first thing I noticed while playing this game is the graphics. While they're not necessarily bad graphics, unfortunately, the more I play it, the more it feels like I'm playing a freemium mobile phone game. They're not actually good HD PlayStation 4 or PS Vita graphics. Which in all honesty I could look past because I never really cared that much about graphics. It's more about the gameplay and if it's fun to play. If you're familiar with the original Secret of Mana, you understand at the beginning of the game they're on the tree that's turned over and they're talking on it, and Randy, the main character, falls down. And right in the opening of this remake, you notice their mouths don't move while they're talking, which again, it's part of the graphics to me. I don't really care that much about it, but when the voice acting comes in and you hear how atrocious it sounds, it makes the whole scene kind of awkward and makes you feel like you wish they didn't even do the voice acting in the first place.
Hey! Guys! Wait up!
Shh! Be quiet, stupid! If the Elder finds us here, we're done for.
Yeah. We're not supposed to be here. Everyone in the village knows about the ghost.
And the more you play the game, the more you hear the voice acting, and it just got really annoying. I actually turned it off because it was just so obnoxious. It was ruining the feeling of the game to me. The voice actors sounded like they were reading directly from a script. There was no emotion behind their voices whatsoever.
My dad is infuriating. I'm in charge of my life, not him.
And speaking of, I don't want this video to go on forever. I made a list of all the things that annoyed me about this game so far, and I want to let you guys know that these things exist in the game. It doesn't make the game unplayable, but in all honesty, it makes me want to play the original more and more as I'm playing this game. While navigating the item menu, the first thing I noticed with that was it's centered in the middle of the screen instead of on the character that's using it, which gets extremely confusing, especially during the heat of battle when you have all three characters and you're playing alone, trying to figure out who's opened up the ring and who's using what. It just convolutes the entire process that was already done right the first time around in the original game. Not to mention, it doesn't save where you were on the item ring, so every time you want to go cast a spell or go use a different item, you have to navigate to that screen. Oh, and if you want to equip different items, there's no more ring for equipment. You have to go to a separate screen to equip new items, which isn't the biggest deal in the world, but again, it adds another step to the process and in turn detaches the player from the entire gameplay experience. The minimap is huge. You can select not to show the minimap, which I had to do because the minimap takes up literally almost a quarter of the screen. Enemies can attack you from that you can't see, so you'll get arrows getting shot out of the minimap and getting hit by things that you didn't see coming. And not to harp on the voice acting, but not only is the voice acting atrocious and feel like it's read from a script, but the actual voice actors don't match the cartoony style of the characters.
This is the Kingdom of Pandora.
Oh, customer.
Well, I don't keep much stock, but you're welcome to look.
This is a remake, so of course it's going to have similarities from the original Secret of Mana, but they literally carbon copied the maps. There's nothing different from the beginning of the game. I'm about 5 hours in right now, and I haven't seen one damn thing change. To which a lot of people would say, yeah, that's what a remake is. They want to stick to what the actual game was. But I say, what's the point of making a remake if it's just going to be the same exact thing as the original game? I wish they added some new areas to the maps or included the content that was cut from the original Super Nintendo cart because it didn't fit on the cartridge in the first place. And while this is a budget $40 game, I feel like every effort Square Enix made with this was put into the voice acting and rewriting the entire script, which, to be honest, the script was janky at best with the original, but who cares about that? You use your imagination to fill in the gaps and you have fun with the gameplay. This game takes all of that away and adds in some really annoying backstories, especially when sleeping over at the inns.
With a sword like this at my side, everyone can tell that I'm a knight who means business. I know! I'll try it out with a few practice swings!
It figures.
What's your problem?
So immature.
And can we talk about canon travel for a second? There's no scene showing your party getting shot into the air. This remake actually takes things out of the original game that were there in the first place that made it special and just cuts those scenes out completely and shows them disappearing. In all honesty, I could go on for a very long time about the things that annoyed me, especially the little things like how it's a little bit more delayed when you press buttons on the menu screen instead of having an instant change, or when your character dies, it's an instant black screen instead of a slow transition to the death. It just feels like everything that was done in this game was extremely rushed with minimal playtesting. And this is coming from a former QA tester. I would be complaining about so much happening while playing this game as a QA tester. It feels like they skipped that process almost entirely. You can press the red circle to progress your conversations, but when you reach the end of the conversation, the red circle button doesn't do anything anymore. You have to press the X button to end the conversation. And other times with conversations, like at the canon travel centers, it'll progress to telling you where you want to get shot to before you even press a button. So oftentimes I'd be pressing the X button to progress it to that screen, and it would shoot me to that location before I even get the chance to pick something. And he'd say okay and shoot me to that destination. There'd be no confirmation, there'd be nothing. I wouldn't be able to go back, and I'd be shot to the new destination. And one of my biggest pet peeves with this game is how there's no invincibility after getting hit. Now, a lot of you guys will hear that and say, well, the original one didn't have that either. But for some reason in this one, it feels like there's more attacks coming at you all at once, and the computer just throws everything at once, and you'll have full health and then die almost instantly because you weren't prepared for 4 arrows to hit you at once. Not to mention, I've already had a couple different instances where the game glitched out on me. One where it went to a straight up black screen at Gaia's navel, where the characters were still at the bottom and I could still hear the sounds and still get hit by enemies, but the screen went blank. I couldn't see any of the enemies. I had to reset the game. With all that being said, I'm still playing through the game right now, and a part of me feels like that's because I'm a glutton for punishment. The other part of me feels like it's my favorite game on the Super Nintendo platform, so of course I gotta play the remake of it. But so far, I'm not blown away by this game whatsoever. And for those of you who are considering picking this game up, but you've never played the original Secret of Mana game, so far, I'd be leaning towards saying, I strongly recommend playing the original Secret of Mana, whether you get the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, you play it on a ROM, or you go pick up the original cartridge for your Super Nintendo itself. We'll see if my opinion changes, but that's how I'm feeling about it so far. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys are playing this game and what you think about the remake. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one.